I'll just do a quick intro. Juan, he's a family man, multi-passionate business owner. He's an INC 5000 entrepreneur and also a life and business coach. Right now, he's been living abroad for about 10 years, and he's going to go ahead and tell us his entrepreneurship story, full of all the ups and downs, mental resilience, and how his mental resilience took him to the next level in all aspects of his life.
What's going on, Tony? What's going on, Peter? Thank you
What's
for
up,
having
man?
me here. What I wanted to do basically was talk a little bit about my story and, my entrepreneurship story, but, I want to make it brief because otherwise we'll be here for 3 or 4 hours, and the more important lesson that I learned through the entrepreneurship story that I had, basically is mental resilience, right? And how you can develop mental resilience. What I came up with basically was that mental resilience, you cannot develop that in the good times. Yes, like for example, as David Messler said, he's a very positive person. Luckily, he was born with that DNA. I think I was pretty much born with that DNA too, because I always been a positive person my whole life. Very outgoing, very, so ever since I came up with my business, ever since I started my business back about 10 years ago, um, you know, not didn't start with too much money. Actually, we started at a 3-bedroom apartment, my partner and I, and the only furniture we had in the apartment was 2 beds and a dining table. That dining table being like a rickety old dining table where my business partner and I and the three call callers that we had who used to make calls. So the computers that we got in that for that dining table were like the big computers, not the flat screen computers that we all have today. It's the big computers because we didn't have money. So I remember one of the stories from that is that we were cold calling, and as we were cold calling, we hear the wood of the dining table creak, and it started falling. Luckily, we all caught it. We all caught it, and the three of us that were holding it, and one of the call callers was actually he was finishing up a call. He was closing a call. So we held onto that dining table for like about half an hour until he finally finished the call and closed the sale. You know, for example, those are the stories that I remember when I first started being an entrepreneur, and that kind of make you. And now I look back at that and was like, wow, like you remember how you started. You remember where like you pretty much came from nothing, and now like you became a somewhat successful entrepreneur, right? And then you got the stories of like, hey, I made my first sale. Those are amazing stories because now you can look back and like teach people, what happened to you. And also those type of stories make, you look back and you basically are grateful for stuff like that. And then you got the experiences where they're not so good experiences, where you're pretty much going, you know, your business may be going down. And I think all of us as entrepreneurs have had the hard times where you're pretty much struggling. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if you're going to succeed or you're going to fail. But, as David Messler said, some people quit when it gets a little hard. That basically what I tell everybody is like, life is hard. Entrepreneurship is hard. Anything that you do in life that's worth doing is going to be hard. And if you quit without actually figuring out what's going to happen, you're leaving a lot of life, a lot of experience, a lot of money in the table. So it's better to actually go through it. Like right now. And the reason I'm talking about those hard times is because right now I'm sure most of us, if not all of us, are going through some hard times. And the key to mental resilience is, yes, working through those moments, but not just working through them, but also embracing that hard time. Because if you don't embrace that hard time and you're just thinking, you're in the mindset of crisis, you're in the mindset of negativity, you're not going to see the lesson that may or may not be in front of you. But if you embrace those hard times and learn from that lesson, then that's where mental resilience comes from. Because if you're just like I said, some people quit when it gets a little hard. Some people choose not to look at the lesson that may be in front of them. And some people just actually work through that lesson, and that's when they develop that mental resilience. You know, a little story about me, for example. Like I said, like from the beginning, you know, I was a very positive person. I started my business about 10 years ago when I was 27. Even though we didn't have money, I was very, very happy. I was extremely happy. You know, I didn't sense some type of negativity in my life until I got married and had my two kids, right? Because now I wasn't just responsible for myself. I was responsible for my family, for my kids, you know, and here I am in my business. Well, last year wasn't doing too well, you know, so here I am basically, I'm a father, I have two kids and a wife that I have to support, and I have a whole bunch of debt in my business. Even though my business was in paper, it was succeeding. Like I just kind of fell into that negative, I guess if you want to call it wormhole, where you kind of just suck into it, and some of us get sucked into that type of things from time to time, you know. And I didn't see any, like when I was in that hole, I didn't see any light at the end of the tunnel. All I saw was like, I'm going to fail. What's going to happen to my kids? What's going to happen to my family? Like every negative thought that you could think of was going through my head, you know, up to the point where I almost got sick because of what was happening. And in the back of my mind, yes, like the thought had crossed my mind that I wanted to quit, but I was like, you know what? There's no way that I can quit, you know, because I have a family support, because I'm a leader in my company, because my family's looking for help, because my friends are looking for help, whatever it is, right? Whatever it was. And luckily, because I opened myself up to being vulnerable, which is a key, I think, to becoming developing mental resilience. You know, I spoke to my father, basically told him what was happening, cried my eyes off for about 2 hours in front of him. And, you know, luckily I have a great father, and he told me like, hey, you know what? Every entrepreneur goes through this at one point or another. You're going through pretty much that moment in your life where it's do or die. Like you're telling me you're thinking about quitting. I understand. But he gave me like an amazing positive story. Well, you know, which kind of turned my mindset at that moment. You know, so I went from basically crisis mode, negativity, and all that type of stuff, not looking at the opportunity in front of me, to, okay, let me calm down, let me relax, let me think, let me look at what's going on, let me look at all the options that are in front of me and grab onto the opportunity. And that's when I learned basically that when you're going through crisis, when you're looking at life in in I guess in the negative, and with a negative mindset, your eyes are blinded to any opportunity that may be in front of you, you know. And I found out the only way that I was able to crawl out of that hole was through being vulnerable, you know, because like I said before, I was extremely positive. Anybody asked me, hey, how's everything going? I'm like, hey, it's great, it's amazing, I love it, like, my life is great, you know. But I opened myself up to like the person that you know, that I always looked up to, which was my father, which at that point, it was, I didn't want to fail in front of him, you know. So talking to my father about failing was extremely hard for me, you know. And when he saw me, like, you know, and I told him, I was like, hey, Dad, I don't know if I can make it. I cried, but at the end of the day, like, I just let everything out, you know. And then again, I spoke to my wife about it as well, because I didn't want to fail in front of my wife's eyes. And I told her, hey, like, hey, this is happening. This is this can happen to us, you know, and I don't want to fail in front of you. And, you know, of course, her being an amazing wife, she told me, hey, you will never fail in front of me, even though the business may fail, but I know you're gonna be able to get us out of this, you know. And the key, I mean, the point of the story is basically, in order for you to go through to develop that mental resilience that you see that most people have, you know, is going through those hard times, not quitting, like David Meltzer said, because you never know where you're gonna reach your goal. Not quitting, and being vulnerable, being open. Whoever you think is going to criticize you for failing, or look, you know, hey, talk to that person. Just like I didn't want to fail in front of my father and my wife, so I spoke to to those two people that I didn't want to fail in front of, and they gave me encouragement. And apart from that, of course, I asked for a lot of help from everybody else. You know, where everybody else, like I was, like I said, my business was already an Inc. 5000 business, and everybody saw me as like, hey, he's successful. But when I came out of that, like, I'm the man, whatever. Like I was like, hey, I seriously need help. So I started asking people around, and not everybody, but most people were willing to help me out with either advice or connections or classes that I can take, you know? So going back to my point, in order for you to develop mental resilience is working through those hard times, not giving up through those hard times, because you don't know what's next. You don't know what's after that, after you go through those hard times, and being vulnerable, being open. Now, obviously, what I chose was my father and my wife, you know, the two people that I didn't want to fail in front of. There's several different ways to do the same thing. You know, some people choose to do it through through social media or writing songs or whatever it may be. But if you look at celebrities, or if you look at these people that are successful, they're vulnerable. They talk about this. Some people, not all of them, but some people actually do talk about it. You know, like Eminem, for example. I'm a big hip hop fan. So he talked about his garbage in his songs, and people praise him for it. And that's what he's talking about. Hey, this is my way of letting things out. Artists, like even painters, you know, they you could tell that they're very, they let out their emotions in whatever canvas is in front of them, you know. So I'm telling you guys, you know, especially during these crises where, I mean, COVID-19 has everybody either scared, nervous, with anxiety, or whatever may be, whatever negative emotion may be. And that's okay. That's really okay. Like, you know, because at the end of the day, we're all human beings. We don't let ourselves feel those emotions, those negative emotions, you know, and let those emotions basically go through us, then we're not going to go through the next step. The key thing is to let those emotions steer through your body and be vulnerable. Speak to somebody about it. Speak to somebody about what's going on in your mind, what's going on in your heart, and then work through that emotion so you can basically go to the next step. So you can go to the next step more successful and more knowledgeable and with more experience. And I mean, I'm still young, but I this is a lesson that I actually value the most out of all the lessons that I learned with entrepreneurship. You know, not quitting, even though you may not know what you're doing, not quitting. Always go for it. Work through those hard times when your back is against the wall and you don't know if you're gonna make it, because those are the times, if you don't quit, you will develop the mental resilience that you have, and embrace those hard times, embrace those negative emotions that you feel inside of you. Because if you don't embrace those negative emotions, then you're leaving a lot on the table. And when I mean a lot on the table, a lot of lessons, life lessons to be learned, that are going to catapult you to the next level. um, but yeah, that's basically Tony, Peter. That's what one of the lessons that I learned, is one of the biggest lessons that I learned in my entrepreneurship career. um, I don't know if you guys have any questions regarding that or
Well, let's
anything.
open the mic for everybody, Tony. What do you think? Let's see how everybody's reacting.
Let's do it. And while we do that, one thing I kind of wanted to add on to that, Huang, is, and I think that's why it's important to kind of have, like, I guess you could call it, like, a support group, or like a team, like your top 3 to 5 people you kind of, count on to support you, to have your back, to influence you, to push you to do greater things, or groups like this one, because you have a group like this, you see people who are doing well, you hear the successes, the
So he
struggles,
said, I was told
or just people like
where
yourself, or David. We've
I
had
had to
C-Rock
stop
on here,
shepherding
Jeff,
and start learning how to
people that could give you some
start learning.
motivation, some great ideas, and to kind of push you forward. Because sometimes, to be honest, like within our immediate circle of family and friends, you don't have that. So we need to have like things like that to kind of,
He talks
to
a
hold
lot
us up,
about
so to
that
speak.
in the leadership book.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
hear a lot of, yeah, Peter, I
Tony,
don't
can
know
you
if,
mute?
yeah, it's a great
You would
idea,
love
man,
that
but
book, baby.
I don't.
Incredible.
Sorry about that, guys. It was a cool idea, but yeah. Anyway, so I don't know if you heard me, Juan, but what's your takeaway on what I just said?
I think okay. You got me. All right. No, you're right. You're definitely right. I mean, it's extremely important to have a support system. You know, like my support system obviously is my family, my wife, my two kids, my father, and just entrepreneurs that I met throughout the way. And I think the key thing is just to be honest, man, because most people, especially nowadays, I think like through social media, all they see is the wins of the person. Hey, this guy, he's a millionaire. Oh, it's so easy for him. Oh, this guy, he's so successful. It's so easy for him. Oh, yeah, because he's this, because of this. No, you don't know what that person's gone through. So I think the key thing is to, hey, this is happening to me. I feel like I feel nervous. I feel anxiety. I feel scared, and that's what's gonna happen when you do that. That's gonna open I'm going to connect with you, for example, and you're going to say, hey, you know what? I feel scared too. Let's talk about this and let's work through it through your experience and my experience. But if you're just like, hey, I'm this hardcore person, nothing, then it's not true. You're not a human, you're playing, you're not being real. You're not really being real with you. You're not really being real with your emotions. So you're not going to, like I said, you're not going to learn anything from this. So it's extremely important to have a support group where you can be honest with your feelings, with what's happening to you, with your lessons, with your experiences, and learn from each other.
Yeah, man, 100%. So, guys, if you, yeah, it was a lot of noise last time. So, just to avoid that, if you guys have any questions, just go ahead and, raise your hand in chat so I could see you and I could go ahead and unmute you, or just drop a message there in chat. Maggie says, entrepreneur is not easy because sometimes we get so blinded by opportunities in front of us and we take things for granted. Vulnerability is one of the hardest mental states you can go through in your emotions. And yeah, I definitely
Yeah,
100% agree with that.
I totally agree with that because I'm not a vulnerable person. I didn't want to let myself be vulnerable, but when I realized, hey, this is my back is against the wall. I have to ask for help. I have to talk to somebody about what I'm feeling, because otherwise I'm going to go crazy. Then that's when I realized, hey, I need to be vulnerable. I need to speak to my father. I need to speak to my mom, to my wife, and just let them know what's going on. And this doesn't just work for entrepreneurship. It works also for relationships. Hey, whoever's married here, they get into fights all the time, or they get into arguments all the time. But if you're just want to be right all the time and not, for example, I got into a fight with my wife yesterday, or an argument, and at first, obviously we butt heads for like the first 10 to 5 minutes maybe, but afterwards you're like, you know what, I'm sorry, you're right. I did this because I feel this way, so I'm being vulnerable to her. But if I'm just like, no, you're wrong, or yeah, I'm right, then nothing's going to be resolved. But if you take a step back and basically just let the person know what's going on, then you're gonna learn something from it.
Absolutely. And I think that kind of ties into sales as well. When you really understand the customer, that really, I mean, let me tell you, man, I remember when I was working at AT&T, calls would come in, they would be just having a horrible day, cussing at me, really upset. But then when I kind of like showed that I cared and I actually was there to help them, I resolved their issue. I started building rapport along that process. Once I gained their trust, just by kind of understanding where they were coming from, I calmed them down. And a lot of times, whether they would buy something or not, they'd be like, man, you know what? I came in, guns blazing, thank you so much. I'm just having a bad day, or I got laid off or whatever, and I just can't afford to pay this bill, whatever it may be. But they'd be like very grateful just for that attempt, whether I could sometimes help them solve their billing issue or whatever it was. So just kind of understanding where the other person coming from a business aspect, and just everyday, life, I think definitely will get you pretty far. So I did see Maggie with her hand up, so I'm just going to go ahead and unmute you, Maggie.
Oh yeah. So like you said, in sales, is definitely you have to understand the customer's situation. Even if we're having our bad days, we have to know that the customer is always right at the end of the day in sales. Because I'm doing a marketing sales right now, and most important thing is that I always say that the customers are always right at the end of the day. Even if we're having a bad day, we can't blame the customers.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, at the end of the day, customers is what brings money to the table, right? And like I think Tony, you mentioned something about caring, right? That's something that actually I'm teaching all my guys, all my team about. Basically, be genuine when you care about your clients, because some people are like, yeah, they ask, hey, how's it going, how are you, that's not really caring. Like, you got to engage with the client. You got to actually, especially right now we have the opportunity with what's going on in the world to actually take advantage of that and say, and every client that I speak to, for example, I'm like, hey, how's it going, how's your family, like, what's going on with your business right now with everything going on in the world. And right now everyone in the world has something that's going on that's relevant to every. So right now it's the key opportunity to connect and engage with clients, because we are all going through the same thing. So right now it's the perfect time that you can take advantage of caring about the other person. And yeah, that's and of course, like Maggie said, like, obviously making sure that your client is good, making sure that you're treating your client correctly, and make sure that the client is always right.
No, yeah, 10-4 now, more so than ever, because everybody's kind of experiencing the same thing. I mean, I talked to you, right now, you're in Medellin, you're in Colombia, and you
Yep.
guys are dealing with this whole pandemic thing over there, which I didn't even know it was hitting over there that hard. You always hear about the US and Italy and other certain parts. So, I mean, just on a global scale, I mean, we're all going through it. So you could always make that connection like right off the bat.
Exactly. Like everybody in the world is going through it. Everybody in the world. So like right now more than ever, like I said, it's you can create relationships with anybody in the world because we have something in common. We have a common enemy. And even though, for example, here in Colombia it's not hitting as hard as it is, we're still feeling it. Like, we've been on lockdown for about a month and a half already. I haven't left my house in like 3 weeks. And but at the end of the day, like we all have something that's going on with us which we can connect and engage. So use that, guys. Use that, but don't just use it to sell something. Use it to actually engage with the client and create a relationship with that client, where you're not only using him, I guess, for one thing, but hey, it's creating a lifelong relationship that, hey, you guys can do business together, with whatever it is that you guys are doing, whatever entrepreneurship or whatever business you have right now at the moment.
Yeah, man, 100% to create and really build those sincere relationships, those genuine relationships with, with your leads, your customers, your prospects,
Exactly.
your power base, all across the board.
Because
We did
even if
have
you
a,
don't,
sorry.
yeah, like even if you don't sell, or like, do business at that point with whoever you're talking to, or whoever you do you're yeah, whoever client it is, maybe you can do business with them 5 years, or even create a relationship where you do business, some type of business in 5 to 10 years, which is the key thing, I think.
No, absolutely. And yeah, I did notice Emmanuel had his hand raised. So I'm going to go ahead and unmute you, Emmanuel.
Yeah, Juan, I wanted to thank you for that share, man. I think it's like it takes a lot of courage to be able to talk about that vulnerability piece. I'm kind of taking it back to when you were originally talking about that.
Yep.
A lot of my work that I'm doing is like around getting people to be able to talk to people, right? Being able to reach out to somebody. For us, being in a community where we can kind of get used to talking to each other about, what we're going through, our feelings, being able to rely on each other. But then reaching out to other people who are coming on and they're new and they kind of don't know what's going on, and being able to reach out, extend your hand and say, hey, it's scary right now. I know this. I've been through the beginning stages of entrepreneurship or of, whatever it is, marriage, whatever it is that you're taking on, and being able to give that hand and saying, like, I'll walk with you. Like, I've been through this with you. It's just a powerful thing. I felt really inspired to share that just because you kind of
Thank you,
opened that
man.
up. So thanks, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, like I said, like I came here to just see what I could help, man. Like this is one of the very few times that I'm going live in front of a whole bunch of people. So like, I mean, I think when I spoke to Tony and Peter, I think this was a great lesson for everyone. Even if you're just beginning, and you haven't gone through those hard times, when you do hit those hard times, hey, go through it, work it. Just don't give up, because you don't know what's at the end afterwards. And if you have gone through those hard times, hey, you can connect with me and you can know, like, hey, yeah, I remember that. And hey, share those experiences with other people that haven't gone through those hard times.
100%,
Totally
absolutely.
agree with you on. I think it's like I think this whole pandemic, it's a lesson for all of us. I think it's a time to wake up, to kind of shake our lives, to realize where we are and where we've been, and the fact that we are not here invincible. And this is a moment to kind of realize what is missing in our lives, because we took until now everything as a granted. Everybody was like, yeah, I'm going out, I'm going anywhere I want, it's a free country. Well, now we kind of realize what means free. um, if the government decides to shut it out, we are shut down, and that's it. So we have that small, I would say, gap of liberty. And once it been taken, we realize how much it means for us. This is one of those things that you will not realize that it's a thing in your life missing until the thing is gone. When it's gone, then you start to be like, oh, I think that's something that I needed. But until every day is there, you will never see it. But yeah,
Exactly.
so
Sorry,
that's
guys.
what I think.
And we also have a question for from Sebastian for you, Juan. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you, Sebastian.
Yep.
Oh, hello, Juan. How are you
What's up,
doing?
Sebastian?
I'm good. I'm from Haiti, and I have friends from Colombia, so I do.
My brother loves Haitian.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good connection. Well, that's funny. Well, I wanted to ask you a question regarding on what you said earlier. Um, I have a question for myself sometimes when, especially during this time when you have a certain amount of debt and you feel actually alone, even with your spouse, it's very difficult for me to express sometimes, and with your employees as well, because you're the only one that has it, that
Hmm.
knows how it's going, the financials, the logistics, and everything. So how do you don't want to quit, knowing that you don't know where tomorrow is gonna be, and you want
Let
to
me ask
quit?
you this: who are you afraid to fail in front of,
Well, I'm not afraid to fail.
or who? Okay.
I'm actually, well, I would say, well, I'm be afraid not to be able to provide. But if I fail tomorrow, if I was alone because I have kids and a wife, it's difficult. If I was a single young entrepreneur, that's why I always support the young ones. You don't need to get in a rush in doing any family thing. Not that I'm against it, but you have to go for it now, because it's the only time you have it's a free for you, for yourself. You can do anything you want and you can make more sacrifices. But it's sometimes very difficult to share. That's what I'm saying, because people cannot understand and cannot relate because they don't have this your own reality.
Mhm. Well, have you spoken to your wife about it?
Yes, we do
Okay.
every day. I talk to them, but even that, even my parents, they won't understand it.
Well, that's another thing too. Like, some people, like I said, that's why you have to build a support group where we're like-minded individuals. Luckily, for example, my father, like, he's been an entrepreneur for 40 years of his life,
Mhm.
since he was like, 15. So when I told him that story and I told him like, hey, I have this much debt, he was like, yeah, it's nothing. Like, I lost $2 million when I was 35. I was like, Jesus Christ, like I don't have. So it's good. Like, for example, if you don't speak to anybody about it, and you can speak to me like afterwards. That's like if you want to get into a little private talk, I'm all for it, bro. But you're not going to know that it's okay what's happening. What's happening is okay, and what's happening may be happening to, or may have happened to 99.9% of entrepreneurs. Like it's okay. And then if you, another thing is also to open your eyes up to see the opportunity of what's going on.
Mhm.
Because if you're right there just like, hey, I'm going to fail, what happens? You are going to fail. But if you're like, all right, hey, this may happen, this is this may happen, but let me look at what other opportunity I could do, what other services I can provide for my clients, what other products I can implement on for my business. That's how I got out of it last year, because I was pretty much gonna go broke, until I realized, hey, maybe I could sell this, or maybe there's this extra service. Hey, let me speak to my employees and let me tell them what's going on, what I feel. At the end of the day, I didn't tell them everything, because you can't be extremely open to them, with everything that's going on. But I told them like, hey, this is what's happening with the business. We're losing money, so we gotta put a fire up our asses, all of us, and learn, continue learning and continue selling and making this happen. You know, because otherwise, if you don't talk to people, if you don't tell your employees what's going to happen, they're going to be, okay, that's fine, you know. But like, for example, when I told my employees, hey guys, we're losing money right now, we have to, now more than ever, we
Yeah.
have to engage our clients, we have to connect with our clients, you know, and let's figure out a way. Like, you know, I, at that point, what I did is I actually started going to conferences, I started taking sales classes, you know, so I can learn, because I thought I was already a good salesperson, but when I started taking the classes, I even became a much better salesperson and a much better speaker. So like, I was able to inspire, I was able to motivate, and I was able to convince my own employees to sell more. But the key thing, Sebastian, I think, is just to speak to like-minded individuals that have gone through this, because I know right now you probably feel alone, which is the way I felt last year. I felt that, hey, nobody else has gone through this, what I'm going through, which is, excuse my language, bullshit. Because 99.9% of entrepreneurs at one point have felt like quitting, have had a huge amount of debt, until they actually open their mouth up and, hey, and ask, hey, I need help with this. So I'm glad you asked me that question. And like I said, if you want to talk outside of the Zoom call, I'm all for it. I'll give you my number. But it's okay. Like, this is what you're going through. It's okay. But you can't remain in that mindset, because you're not going to see the different opportunities that are in front of you.
Well,
Like,
I actually am. I'm not gonna say this word, but I'm actually quite special because I only see big things.
awesome.
But the problem is that it's the process. You know, I'm afraid to hurt the close one. If I was alone, like I said, I would have gone faster. So sometimes I take a step back and analyze and see how I can still do it, but a much slower version of it,
That's
or
okay. I mean,
reasonable.
it's a marathon. It's not a
Sometimes,
sprint.
yeah, well, I'm learning that right now.
I mean, the quicker you realize that, I mean, everything in life is a marathon. It's not a sprint. You know, and if you sprint to the finish, you're gonna fail.
Yeah.
You know, because you're gonna leave. You're not gonna analyze the situation. You're not gonna mitigate the risk of whatever process you want to go. You know, you want to go through, and you're just gonna be like, all right, let me just do it. You know, no, that's not the point. Like, it's like, hey, I have a new business, or I have a new something that's new, something that I wanna launch. Let me figure out where I'm gonna get my clients from. Let me figure out how am I gonna sell it. Let me figure out how much money, what's the market that I can sell this to, and let me figure out a good product or a good service that I can sell. But if you're just like, if you don't figure out all those things, and you're like, all right, let me get this product, let me figure, once I invest in this product, the service, I'll figure out how to sell. That's not the way it works. You got to go through those points and analyze the situation, and how much the product is going to cost, what's the cost of the product, or what's the cost of the service to you, what's the margin that you got to put on top of that. That way you can make some money and provide for you, your family, and your employees. You know, because otherwise, if it costs you $1.50, you're selling it for $1.60, it doesn't make any sense. You know, you got to figure, okay, it costs you $1.50. Let me figure out what my costs are. And that's where it's a marathon, because you have to slow down, figure out what your costs are, figure out how you're going to sell it, figure out how you're going to ship it, or fulfill that service, and then go through it, you know. So it's awesome that you see big things, but you have to slow down and figure out how you're going to do everything from point A to Z. Does that make sense?
Perfectly.
Okay.
Well, let's keep in touch for sure.
Yeah, man. Yeah, text me.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me I'll send you my number to everyone, just in case.
Yeah,
Okay.
All right.
yeah, it'd be great if you could do that for us, so that way people could
Thank you.
connect with
Thank
you.
you, Mike.
We also had a question from Maggie.
Mike.
So while you do that, Juan, I'm gonna go ahead and unmute you, Maggie.
Okay. So, like I said, it's okay to go through hard days. It's all about strength, and we can never be in a negative aspect, because that's what's gonna hold you back in life. Even if you have kids, we always have to think positive, and we always have to go through the hard days, because it's a scary world out here. We all go through hard days sometimes, and we can't always let other people fail, because if we let if we if we see other people fail, it's gonna backfire on you, and you're gonna always blame yourself, because you're blaming yourself for failing and not acknowledging that you're failing in front of other people. And it's okay to fail with other people, because that's how you're gonna grow and how you're gonna get through your hard days. You can't always think negative like that, because it's gonna hurt you, and you're always gonna deflect on your mindset.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I agree with you about being positive. You have to remain positive at all times, right? But there is going to be times that you feel anxiety, you feel scared, or you feel nervous, and that's okay. Like I said, it's okay to, because you're a human being, you know. And when those times happen, and they are going to happen from time to time, embrace those feelings, because
Exactly.
if you embrace those feelings, there's a lesson to be learned from that experience.
100%. I agree. So I'm just trying to go through the chat here and see if anybody else had any other questions. I don't see any hands raised here.
I just to tap into the same thing like Juan said, and I feel like this is the same kind of situation with the disease. When you have a disease, the first thing you have to do in order for you to cure it, you have to admit it. So this is the same thing with the, you know, when you have failures, when you have a weakness. Um, in order for you to move on and to actually do the progress, you actually have to admit that you have an issue, a challenge, a situation that you need to overpass it. So the first step into that is going to be that admission that say, yes, I'm in trouble or whatever it is. And I think that's one of the most challenging part for everybody, to kind of admit mistakes, because we've been raised to the idea that mistakes, they're going to be punished from the kid when you're no when you're a kid. And now you kind of have to grow up out from that, and be like on a different level, that you're going to be actually, I would say, seeing the mistakes as a good thing, because it's a learning curve, and that's going to take it for the next level. I know if anybody remembers Sarah Berkeley. Tony, help me up.
Yeah, Sarah Blakely. She's
Yeah,
Sarah
Jesse
Blakely, yeah,
Itzler's
she's
wife.
awesome.
yeah.
She's awesome. Yes, owner of
She
Spence.
has a thing. She has a story that is stuck to my brain. When she said that when she was younger, in her family, the way that they've been raised, that when they get to the table, to the dinner, everybody was telling what are the failures of the day, and celebrating the failures. And I thought that's such an amazing thing that you can do in life, especially when you have kids, family, to celebrate failures. So in that way, you're not gonna be afraid to fail, because once you're not afraid to fail, there's nothing can stop you. So that's how I
Exactly.
see it. But anyhow, um,
No,
just to with
that's
that,
definitely
yeah,
true. Like, I mean, and that's a problem too. Like, I think most people are afraid to fail, you know. And I think Sarah Blakely was raised with that mindset of, hey, it's okay to fail, you know. But but
yeah,
I think like I saw a speech that Jim Carrey gave to in a university, where he said, where when his father, who was got a safe job as an accountant, and he got fired from a job that an accounting job that he didn't like, you know. So he said, hey, it's okay, it's better to fail at something you love than to fail at something you hate.
mhm,
Because I mean, his father failed at a job he hated. So hey, let's go for what we love, and if we fail at the end of the day, we're
yeah,
learning something new. We did what we had to do. We shot, you know, we went for our dreams. Because at the end of the day, like, most entrepreneurs are artists. We're all dreamers.
yeah,
We all want to become something, you know. If we're doing it just for the money, then, you know, it's, I don't, like, it's, you may fail, but you got to have a bigger purpose than just it's about the money. You know, like it's about what you, I think as an entrepreneur, it's about what you can create, what you know, what you can create and what you can accomplish and how much you can push yourself. At least that's for me, you know. And I mean, I think I'm afraid of failing too, but at the end of the day, I'm doing something I love.
Well, like exactly like Mr. Davis said tonight, and this is kind of tapping into his story with the jacket with no pockets. Yeah, I think that was a pretty good example because it's not only about money. It is, like if you don't have pockets, you cannot store any money, and you're just doing because of the look
Exactly.
and for the journey, for the impact that you're going to create with whatever you're going to do in life. So at the end of the day, like we all want to be remembered in a way or other. The question it is, what is going to be written on your stone when you're going to be dead. Is going to be a good guy or a bad guy, so whatever it was. So
Yeah. No, for sure. And like I said, it's what you can create, what you can accomplish, and I think more importantly, what you can leave for this world. You know, like I mean, the very few lessons that I learned
mm,
being an entrepreneur, I wanted to share with you guys. So like
yeah,
and I think this is an awesome platform for all of us to share, to learn from each other. And thank you for giving me that opportunity. Hey, let me share. Like I think one of the biggest, if not the biggest, lessons that I learned as an entrepreneur.
yeah, definitely. Anybody
Definitely.
have any other thoughts that they want to share about whatever it was before with Mr. David, about what is with Juan, and to kind of um, take this one to maximize it
We
with
got another
any.
question here from Emmanuel. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you, Emmanuel.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Am I muted? Okay,
Yep.
cool. Yeah. So I just wanted to kind of summarize some of this stuff that we're talking about. I mean, the negative thinking, the feelings of failure, this stuff like paralyzes our body. It literally affects our central nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys are absolutely right. Like as like entrepreneurs, as businessmen, like we're dreamers, right? Like for us to dream, for us to be creative, we got to find a way to be relaxed, to not be in this state of stress. And I think that's the beautiful thing with entrepreneurship and business owning, is that you're in this constant dichotomy of stress and having to be able to be in a place where you can be creative and push yourself to envision something and create it. And so I guess I just wanted to share with you guys, it's one of the things that I think I work with people on to help de-escalate that stress when you're feeling that negativity, that pessimism, that fear of failure, is breath work. I don't know if anyone in here does breath work, but like the ability to do some deep breaths, just as simple as taking 5 deep breaths, and giving that pause and then go. You know what I'm saying? It resets that central nervous system completely, and it puts you back in that mode where you can go back to that creative place where you can do the best work that we do.
Yep. I actually do. You ever heard of box breathing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, box breathing is awesome. Like I mean, I try to meditate at least 10 minutes a day, but when I feel like I have those feelings, which I think from time to time we all do, like
Yeah.
box breathing. But like
So
for
important.
anybody that doesn't know what box breathing is, basically you breathe in for 4 seconds, you hold the breath in for 4 seconds, and then you breathe out for 4 seconds. You wait 4 seconds, and then you do it again.
Yeah.
So breathe, hold, let it out, hold,
Yeah.
and then do that whole thing for about 5 times. It's
Yeah.
basically what um, Navy SEALs do. It's what Navy SEALs do in order for them to be relaxed,
Yeah.
because as we all know, they go through extremely crazy situations. So
Yeah. Visualization is really good for that too.
that's yeah, exactly. Anybody else have any questions?
Peter looks like he's
Yeah, I
talking,
think.
but I can't hear him. So I'm going.
Mr. Jeff.
There you go.
Oh, I think
Mr. Jeff was
Troy Holder has
his hand.
yep. At
I don't
least that's
see
what I see
Troy.
on mine.
I
I
I
see
don't
him.
see him.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people here tonight, guys. It's hard to
Jeff Cunningham also has a question.
I do apologize, guys. Yeah, I see Jeff. I'm gonna look for you right now, Troy. Jeff, I'm going to unmute you, sir, and then I'm going to find Mr. Troy. All right, Jeff.
Permission to speak.
Hey, what's up,
Yeah,
man?
permission to speak.
Sometimes I get yelled at for speaking too much, but nothing's gonna stop me, man. Hey, so Juan, great. Great from what I checked in from the beginning. The question I want to ask you, I just post probably my most embarrassing YouTube video of me doing a morning trend, my perfect schedule that I did for morning just recently. I like, because I've done this, I want to hear other people's kind of morning routine schedule and like some must do's and must don'ts. I do stuff before I go to bed. I kind of plan out the day before I go to bed, but I'd love to hear yours.
I mean, it's simple stuff. Like, I try to wake up. Well, I got kids, as I mentioned a couple of times already. So I try to wake up at 5:30 in the morning because my kids wake up at 6:30. So I can get, after they wake up, I can get nothing done. So like right now, since we're only quarantining, wake up at 5:30, drink a tall glass of water, Then I actually meditate for about 10 minutes. I do a little bit of jump rope because I'm a big fan of martial arts. So I do jump rope for about 10 to 15 minutes and try to listen to something positive. I try not to look at the news or anything like that. I try to look at the news maybe for 5 minutes a day just to see what's going on in the world. And that's about it. And then at that point, it's like 6:30. That's when my 1-year-old is waking up. So after that, I kind of spend most of my time more like, in the morning with him until about, 7:15, 7:30 when the other baby wakes up. So I make him breakfast, spend some time with them. And then my wife at that point, she actually wakes up and then she kind of takes over. And then I start working. All right. Well, I also eat breakfast with them,
Yeah, can I ask you a question about meditation?
Yeah.
So here's the deal. I used to meditate all the time in the morning because it was really good at focusing my mind. And I still will do it every once in a while when I feel like I need it. Grant said this, and I kind of always, he would say stuff that I was always a fan of. He's like, when I meditate, I never know when I'm done. What I do for meditation is I'll do the Wim Hof meditation. I play it in my hands, okay. I breathe in, breathe out. It takes about 10 minutes, but sometimes I feel so good after I meditate. Like, so I did smoke weed way back in the day when I lost my brother to drugs, okay? And I was so dumb. This is how I found Grant, man. I basically, I was going to hit rock bottom, do anything to not feel the pain after I lost my brother. I was with a whole bunch of teachers. They had weed at the party. I was going to sell the weed. This is true because I'm so entrepreneur. And I got it just to impress this girl, Cindy, who doesn't even talk to me anymore. And my buddy Keon rolled it. I smoked it. I'm just chilling in the pool, dude, feeling like so cool, right? The Wim Hof breathing meditation for me makes me get that same feeling. So when I coach people, I always tell people, try this. It's not the same as getting high, but you'll save some money and you'll still do that. So meditation, I don't know if you ever smoked before or whatever, but can you compare it to that, or is that just a me thing?
That's you.
Okay.
Because I have smoked plenty of times before. But when I smoke, actually, for example, sometimes I get, depending on who I smoke with, I guess, or when I used to smoke, I used to get nervous. I used to, have anxiety. But when I used to smoke alone, that's when I was mostly creative, so I used to play the guitar, write, poems. I used to be big into spoken word. But when I meditate now, for example, I use this application called Calm. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
Yeah, I have actually.
Yeah, so I try to just keep it simple, man. I don't try to go and do anything crazy. Keep it simple, do that for 10 minutes. And for example, I didn't know what I was going to speak about today, to be honest with you. I knew I had an idea, but during today's meditation, I was actually able to mental resilience through vulnerability, because that's exactly what I went through. I just wasn't able to put it to work. So a lot of the times meditation for me, actually, it helps me to actually come up with a good idea, because I kind of quiet my mind. And even though sometimes my mind is just crazy racing all the time, I come up with good ideas like that, from meditation.
So, and I used to ask, I have a Make More Money podcast. I used to ask people 2 questions. This is what I ask everyone when I hire someone. Do you know Grant Cardone, and do you do drugs, right? I stopped asking the second one, do you do drugs? Because there's a lot of millionaires who are out there who smoke weed and everything. And because I used to teach middle school, I used to tell kids, I'm against weed just because I lost my brother and it became a gateway drug. I've done it. I get why people do it. I think you do it to escape pain, just like you drink and stuff. with that said, because we kind of did open this up, and one of my previous coaching clients is in here, Maggie, who I could help to thing, and I don't want her to think I'm glorifying it. I don't want to be. I actually think that. With that said, do you? And I almost want to say this. Do you think? Yeah, it's a body high, Jeff again. Yeah, that's probably what it is. It's different, but do you think? Because I have a hard time. I don't coach any client who does drugs. That's my personal thing. So I feel like if I make people more money, they're just gonna spend it on drugs. That's just my belief. But I almost, because I believe that, should I challenge that? Is it okay? Is weed okay? Like, I'm almost like, we should be legal. Like, what's your talk on, what do you think about that?
As far as what you should do?
No, not even what I should do. Like, I think I'm still going to stay with that because I believe in that right now. But, like, I almost want to hear other people's talks about everything. Like, you obviously, like, do you think weed is as bad of a drug as anything else, or is it like something that should be legal? I guess it's a really serious question. I didn't really plan on going to this.
As far like, I don't think weed is a bad drug. I think people that smoke it do it because it's cool. Like I mean, I personally haven't done it in a long time, but like I have my best friend smokes every day. And it is what it is. But yeah, like as far as legality, I don't know, man. Like I haven't really thought about it. I guess it goes back to like political issues and all that type of stuff, and economic issues that if you legalize weed, what's going to happen? It's probably they're going to tax it. It's going to probably make more money, but hey, who knows?
Like what's next, right? Yeah, I can totally see that. So we do have just 2 more questions. I know we're running a little bit late, guys. I just want to make sure I'm able to get to everybody. Thank you so much, Jeff, for the great questions. So I'm going to go ahead. I know Troy's been waiting, man. I got to get around to my boy Troy here. So let me just go ahead and pull you up, sir. All right, and you're
hi, good evening, Tony. Hi, Juan. Thanks so much for sharing so transparently. It's really appreciated.
Anytime, man.
Yeah. What how have you found like that time when you actually felt you want to give up? Are you the kind of a guy who would share how you're really feeling with your spouse? Or are you the kind of guy who would try to fix it first, and then after it's fixed, then you share the whole journey with your spouse? The reason I'll tell you this. The reason I'm asking is that my personal experience when I first started entrepreneurship, the moments when I felt like giving up. I'm from the Caribbean, by the way, and in the Caribbean, you're taught as a man that you take your business, and to share that sales are not going the way you were going, you don't want them to go, you're not sure how you're going to be able to meet payroll, you're not sure how you're going to be able to put food on the table, and I found myself like struggling with that. And it's only after that I started to really open it to my wife. We have been married for 20 years, and started to really share with her what is happening. Man, I was blown away because a lot of the solutions, was in her. She was able to share, the strategies and the tactics. Yeah, she was part of my support, man, but it was amazing what came with that. So I just wanted to share that and ask you that question at the same time.
That's awesome, bro. Like, no, I guess it's different from everybody, but like, yeah, I agree with you. Whereas some people may not want to share with their wives. So like, I think when I started sharing with my wife what I was feeling, she was like, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah. Like, because she told me, she's like, hey, she'll basically never see me as a failure because, she'll know, even though the business may fail, I'm not a failure. Yeah. And correct. She'll know like, hey, I know that you'll get us out of this one way or the other, which kind of like when she told me that, I was like, oh, kind of like let a big side out. And I was like relieved because I was like, okay, but even though she's relieved, I'm still feeling like, I guess I'm still feeling the weight of the problem, but at the end of the day, it's not as bad as before. And sharing, I guess like you said, but like sharing with your wife or sharing with your support group is awesome as long as you're honest with what's going on.
Yeah.
And you can let out the emotions, you can let out what's going on in your mind, in your heart, and then that way, because you don't know what that other person knows. So if you're telling your losses, I guess, you're not, like I said before, most people are only talking about the wins in social media. They don't post the losses. They don't post what's going on when in the bad times, But if you do talk about those bad times, then you're going to attract other people that may be going through the same thing. And then you guys together can figure out a way to get out of it. Like, it's like the perfect example is what you did with your wife. You told her what was going on. And even though it went against all your whole upbringing, and look what happened. Something amazing
Yes.
that you created, something amazing for you, and a better relationship with your wife and yourself.
Sure, man. Thanks, man. Continue to do the good work, man. I was in Cali in 2018.
Okay.
Um, I look forward to visit. I had a wonderful time in Colombia. Look forward to visiting again.
Yeah, man. Whenever you want to come down to Medellin, man, let me know. Let me know. I run a, by the way, I run a VIP and concierge service here, so let me know how we can help.
Yeah. Okay. I'll definitely save.
Awesome. Great question, Troy. So, all right, guys. So I know we're running a little late here. Keep saying that, but we have one more comment or question by Carolina. So I'm going to go ahead and unmute you, and then we'll wrap things up here. And Juan, thank you so much for staying with us this late. Usually we
Yeah,
kind of cut
no,
it off like around 9, but lots
it's
of
cool,
energy here
man.
tonight,
I
man.
like this. I enjoy this. I enjoy this. And by the way, Carolina is a great friend of mine, so I know she's gonna be a, she's also a life and business coach as well. So we actually went through the class together, where I was telling you we didn't graduate because of everything that happened, but
Excellent. Carolina, you are unmuted.
Hi guys, good night. I wanted to talk a little bit and share about the morning routine because it really has said like a completely change on my standard on my day. Like every time that I do this, I don't know if you guys are related with this book called the 5 a.m. Club from Robin Sharma. So he has this formula. He called it like the 2020 formula. And if you look on YouTube, he's gonna explain it like super well. How does it work? But basically, what I do, I woke up like at 4:40, 4:45 a.m. First, I have like a warm glass of water or like a little tea, and then the next 20 minutes from the day, so from 5 a.m. to 5:20, I do a really strong like workout, like a workout that is gonna make me sweaty at that time, because that pumps out your endorphins and serotonin and all those happy hormones on your brain. So it makes you happy, and it helps with creating new neurons in your mind. So it's the best way to start the day. Work out, break a sweat. You at the beginning you're like, oh my god, this is insane. And then when you start getting like the feeling and seeing like the results of it, you're like, okay, I'm hooked. After that, I have a 20-minute time for meditation. So like Juan was saying, sometimes I go to meditation and I got a lot of things on my mind. So before meditating, I have a journal. And in the journal, I take all the things that are like bugging and, going around in my mind. The good emotions, the bad emotions. The bad emotions is really important to let them out because they drain a lot of about our energy, like emotional and mental energy. They take so much space and they make us so anxious. So just by putting all those thoughts into a paper after you work out, it's just like a release of energy. It's like you're taking a huge weight from your shoulders. And then after you have done that, you go and meditate. You can do a 5 minutes or 10 minutes meditation. The way you meditate is not, it's not like so important, as long as you can be present in the moment, take deep breaths, being really with yourself. And then in those moments, it's like when magic starts to happen. It's like ideas come to you, you feel at peace, a lot of things, good things happen. And when you are able to kind of calm your mind down and slow the rhythm. And then the last 20 minutes, that's why it's like the 20-20-20 formula. The last 20 minutes, i I use those minutes to learn something new. So you take those 20 minutes to read or to listen to a podcast or to a video on YouTube, something that you are learning, or for someone who is inspiring you. And since you have passed the last, 40 minutes just working on yourself with no cell phone, no distraction, no email, no text, no nothing. It's like your mind is in an amazing state to get the best of that information. So that's basically like my golden morning routine. Most of the times it's 1 hour, but if I got the time, I extend my 2020. So sometimes I work out like 40 minutes, and then I got like 30 minutes to reflect and to meditate and to write and to be grateful, and then another 20 minutes to listen to a podcast, whatever. So it's like you adjust it by the time you have available. And about the 5 a.m., yeah, I mean, for some people, waking up that early is a bit insane. But to be honest, at that time, there is so much peace. It's everything so quiet. It's like the world is still asleep. So it's like the best time for you to be with yourself, and to create like the best ideas for you and your business and your family and everything. So that's what I wanted to share.
Ah, that's awesome. Yeah, like I said, Tony, that's my homegirl Caro from Medellin.
I had some great comments. I noticed that too because this whole quarantine thing. I usually train and do all my working out usually in the evening. So now I've been forced to do it now in the morning, and it's so nice. I mean, I'm definitely gonna miss that because it kind of sets the tone for the day. Getting like good hard workout, really sweating, and I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try doing some meditating and some reading afterwards. During the day, like in the morning, once I'm sitting on my emails and getting ready for the day, I'll have like a podcast playing or like a YouTube motivational interview with somebody, like a mentor I look up to or something motivational. And those things I agree
Yeah.
100% definitely sets the tone for the day.
Yeah, I think like meditation is great. Like Caro said, and I think it's one of the things that I also miss saying, like I didn't say when basically meditation helps you staying in the present the whole time. And even when you're not meditating, you're still practicing staying present. So, and it's all about opportunities, looking at the opportunities that are in front of you so you can take advantage of those, whether it's helping somebody out, whether it's an opportunity for business, or whether it's an opportunity to create a relationship or strengthen a relationship. You're going to be present in that. But if your mindset is racing with negative thoughts and everything like that, you're going to miss all those opportunities.
100%. So yeah, man, I mean, I really appreciate you. I mean, so much fantastic information they've given us this evening. And thank you for your time. I know we once again, I mentioned that we ran a little bit later than that. So sorry to keep you
About
hostage.
43 minutes more.
Yeah. Right.
Just a little bit.
A little bit more. No, it's been a fantastic comment. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. It's been good, hearing more about you and, giving us some fantastic nuggets this evening. So,
Yeah, man,
next time we're gonna do a marathon. We're gonna go like 24 hours.
Oh man, where we could probably make that happen. I don't know how fun that would be.
You know what is gonna be the fun in the morning? The production level, that's gonna be after 24 hours. On the 24 hours is gonna be the most creative questions.
We gotta have a lot of
It's gonna be better than anything that you smoke, just because we're talking about. But anyhow, it was a pleasure, everybody, to hear all the stories. And I'm still not realizing that we just had David on the show. I'm still like trying to kind of I would say chew that part. It was it was just so fast. I'm like, did we just had only one on the show, or it was also David before? Because he's like, but anyhow, Juan, it was great to have you, and I think you were an amazing person.
Thank you,
I
Peter.
feel like
thank you for having me here, man.
Well, no, man, it's
Salute, thank you.
like we said, we're trying to bring this community to make this everything to rock on this community, and everybody should have a word to say here and something to share, so we know, if we're doing more often this one, and people will understand what this is about, and everybody will jump and present what they have, we'll be more comfortable sharing more in the community and be more united.
Yeah,
And
man. Like I
means
said,
more growth.
Yeah, it's all about just being open, man. Like not just sharing your wins,
Yep.
but sharing your losses also.
Yep.
So
Yeah, that's definitely 100%. Well, anyhow, thank you very much, Mr. Tony. Would you
thank
like
you
to make the
guys.
wrap
Thank
up?
you, Tony. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
Thank you, Juan. Thank you guys once again for hanging out with us this
Yeah.
Sunday evening. We'll see you back next Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, and we'll see you guys in the WhatsApp chat room or Facebook. You guys have a great week and a great night.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, guys.